So I've got Bill Wheeler with me, I4WDJ certified trainer from USA. I'm going to talk to him. We're going to have a conversation. So Bill, welcome to Learn Offroad. I'm glad you could make it here. I know you've had a very short trip and you just interacted with a few people today. But what do you think of the current vehicles that are sold in the Indian market? The Jimny and the Thar especially. What is your opinion of these vehicles? What do you think? Would they work well in US? Too underpowered? Or maybe on a global scale, what do you think of these vehicles?
I don't think they're underpowered. I think they're obviously set for the economy and the fuel mileage. Uh, and I see a lot of crossover application in the off-roading and overlanding that these vehicles are being used for, because people have to use them as daily drivers. You know, commute home and to work and the grocery store, and then they want to come out off-roading. Maybe some, like the Jimny, can be a little bit underpowered in certain situations. If they made some options for different gear ratios, that might make it better. But I honestly wish we could get the Jimny in the United States. The other vehicles seem very similar. It's a lot of, Jeep, similar to the Jeeps. Uh, and, we're stuck with only one diesel Jeep right now. You can't really get any other, diesel. I would prefer a diesel vehicle more in the United States if we could get them. Unfortunately, the EPA is probably not going to let us go that option
Yeah, true.
for gas savings. But no, I think they're great applications. And I'm very surprised the tires that you're able to use out here, because we use a lot more aggressive tread patterns in the United States for this similar type of terrain. Yeah, and maybe it's because the vehicles are heavier.
Heavier, yeah.
Yeah, and we load them down with so much stuff and so much accessories.
Okay, so Bill, you again interacted with a lot of students right now. What do you think about their aptitude for learning, or just how would you judge them right now? See, most of them are at level 1 or level 2. What do you think of them just generally as an Indian off-road scene compared to the US off-road scene?
One, I see a lot more students in your classes here than typically what we see in the United States. Class sizes are a lot smaller. And as far as aptitude, uh, about the same levels of aptitude at the level, but I see a lot more interaction here. They want to be engaged. They want to get hands-on. Where in the U.S., we only find one or two people that want to interact and hands-on, maybe because they might get embarrassed. I don't see people here worrying about getting embarrassed, about getting dirty, getting their hands on stuff, obviously getting wet, you know, out in the monsoon with us. But it has been really, really fun, great interacting with all your students. Uh, their base level of knowledge, minus stepping over the line once or twice, but the same thing happens everywhere, all classes. So, but they have been really fun to work with. Doc, where do you see learning off-road going in the future? Where do you want to take this? Where do you see it in 10 years?
Honestly, 10 years I want to sell the company and retire. But I want to take it national. So right now it's me at this place, and what's happening is people are coming from all over the country to learn out here, but then that becomes a challenge for them to travel across the country. So I am training a lot of trainers now here who can then go to different parts of the country. I want to set up at least the next 5 years 4 schools in different parts of the country, so I can go give quality education, because we see a lot of nonsense on YouTube. So safety, because I don't want someone to die, because if someone dies, the entire sport gets affected. The government is going to clamp down. So what I don't want any mishaps. So once, if I can spread out, train people, teach them the right ways, I hopefully have done my job.
Awesome.
If someone wants to become an I4WDTA trainer from India, what do you think the I4WDTA needs from them? What should be their preparation? How much seat time? How many years of experience? What do they need?
I see, uh, obviously we know driving standard vehicle is the biggest challenge for a lot of our students. So I would definitely recommend that they focus on, you know, driving multiple vehicle platforms. Just don't be stuck in just because, find a friend, borrow a vehicle, come out, drive different vehicles, uh, and be in the books. Because you know as well as I, if they can't pass the test, we can't even put them on probation. So they have to study, study, study. Uh, but from what I've seen so far, just there is such they want to absorb. Everybody I've met out here just wants to absorb. They want the information. They want to learn. They're excited about it. Uh, so just keep that excitement, but get in the books. So Doc, when is the next time you're planning on coming to the United States? And do you plan on teaching some off-road when you do?
Um, I would love to come every year for the TFC, but unfortunately, time, money. So maybe I'll plan every 3 years if I can. That's a optimistic outlook, or definitely every 5 years. And of course, if I'm coming there, I'm teaching and learning. It's always symbiotic.
And to
I teach
add to
students, I
that,
learn from them.
and to add to that question, if I invited you to come help me with a class,
I have a valid visa already. Let's go.
excellent.
Okay, one more thing for you. Where do you stand on quality recovery equipment versus cheap? When I say cheap, I don't mean really cheap, but why should someone invest in equipment other than, of course, brand?
Sure, great question. I recommend in the United States for students I teach, buy what they can afford. Uh, but if you're spending more money on your refrigerator in your vehicle than you are on a tow strap or a pulley, you're wrong, which we see happen a lot. But we've also had to learn with our clientele there not to chastise them too bad uh, for not being able to afford the top of the line equipment. So we've had to adapt our teaching styles to the equipment they have. There's certain equipment, the Chinese straps that are very bad, that fray, we try to tell them to cut that up and throw it away. But if they can't afford the top of the line, we try to teach them the safest manner that they can use that and know the dangers, the hazards associated with it, the tensile strengths, the working load limits, everything that could be associated with a little bit lesser quality item uh, versus the high end. And obviously, we try to educate them as well that it will last longer, it's going to be safer. But we realize that certain areas, you know, where I live in the central and southern part of the United States, it's we get a wide variety of equipment. We try to recommend they stay away. You're familiar with Harbor Freight?
Yep,
Yeah, we
stay away
try to
from
tell
them.
them to
Yeah.
stay away from Harbor Freight. Don't buy or don't go to the junk store and buy that stuff. Buy quality what you can afford, and if you can afford more, it will last you maybe even a lifetime. Doc, if you won the lottery and you were a multimillionaire, what would be your dream off-road vehicle, one or two, that you would own the rest of your life?
Grenadier and a Land Cruiser.
What
79
year? What
series.
year Land Cruiser?
79.
Okay,
Yeah. Same.
so we were both in agreement. I would also the Grenadier, a '79 Defender 190 or 110, and I would hire a mechanic
Oh, yeah.
to work at home and keep it running all the time.
Perfect. Okay, so last question before we sign off. If you can educate viewers on the importance of four-wheel education and why should they invest more in four-wheel education than a fancy seat cover?
You and I have been doing this a long time in this industry, and we teach a lot of students every year. And I train at a lot of expos where the expos are buying and selling all the accessories. And you see people walk by while you're training a class that stand and watch for a second and then they walk away when you're teaching high lift or winching, and they walk away. A week later, you see them on the trail, broke down, and doing very bad techniques, unsafe practices, and it's very hard to convince them because they know it all. I think for the future of our businesses and I4 WDTA as a whole, that needs to be a further discussion on how we bridge that gap with those people that think they know it all, and because I spend a lot of money on my vehicle and the seat cover, that I don't need the training.
Right. Yep.
And maybe bridging that gap is that presence of cost versus safety and efficiency, and because they own really nice
Yeah,
recovery
yeah.
gear, they just don't know how to use it.
Exactly, yes.
And their pockets are deep. They bought a very expensive vehicle. They put a lot of nice accessories on it. So we know they have. It's just figuring out how to bridge that gap of getting that
Yeah.
part
So
educated.
I think the only way people would start training is when the government makes it mandatory for X number of hours on education before you can hit a trail. That's the only way to do it.
Yes, I agree. And I think because in both countries,
Yeah.
I think we're seeing an increase in the populace that's getting out into, this terrain and off-roading. I'm sure your student numbers have
Yes. Oh,
increased
yeah.
over the years.
Tremendously.
We see the
Yeah.
same thing in the U.S. Our student numbers are increasing, uh, and maybe that is the gap that the national forests, the government, the states have to get involved and say, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, if once you start modifying your vehicle, and maybe help here is if you want to put a winch on your vehicle,
Yeah, you got to get in.
you got to get the
Yeah.
training. Or if you get the training, we'll let you modify your vehicle.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, sir, for inviting me, and this has been excellent. I am thrilled to be a
Brilliant.
part of this.
So I'm going to call you again next year. I'll
Awesome.
see you then. All right. Cheers.